Why does life seem to reward the ruthless? Why do the most selfish, cunning, and morally bankrupt people so often rise to the top, while those who live with integrity are left behind? You've seen it. The cutthroat CEO who destroys the competition, the corrupt politician gaining ever more influence, the toxic friend who, against all logic, commands admiration. Meanwhile, the kind, honest, and hardworking struggle to get ahead. But why? From an early age, we're told that the good guys win in the end, that if you work hard, play by the rules, and treat others with respect, life will reward you. But what if this is the biggest lie of all? What if success isn't about morality, but about raw strength? Schopenhauer believed life is not governed by fairness, but by power. He saw a blind, relentless force, the will to live, driving every human being. And this force favors those who act with dominance, not compassion. Hesitation, pausing to consider what's right or wrong, costs you your advantage. Those willing to strike first, to take risks, to manipulate without guilt are the ones who seize power. If that's true, does it mean that morality is just a handicap? Must we abandon our values and become ruthless to survive? Or is there another way? Schopenhauer argued the answer isn't in ruthless transformation, but in understanding power itself. You don't need to become heartless, but you do need to stop playing by rules that no one else follows. Success, in Schopenhauer's view, isn't a reward for virtue, it's the result of dominance. The world doesn't operate on justice, it simply mirrors the brutal law of survival. The confident, aggressive, and strategic prosper, while the virtuous are left waiting for a recognition that never comes. Human existence, for Schopenhauer, is driven by this irrational and blind will to live, interested only in survival and reproduction. In nature, only the strong and adaptable endure. The predator moves without hesitation. The prey hesitates and pays the price. In human society, this dynamic persists, cloaked only in more sophisticated forms. That's why the corporate manipulator, the cunning politician, the social climber who deceives, they all succeed. Not because the world is broken, but because they understand its primal machinery. Ruthlessness works because it is nature's playbook, but morality and survival instincts are always at odds. Compassion, fairness, integrity, they introduce dangerous hesitation. Those who pause to consider what's right lose time while the ruthless act. Success isn't about who's right, it's about who's first. Those who seize opportunities without guilt, who dominate without fear of consequences, climb higher every time. Brutal truth. Power rewards those who take, not those who deserve. Strength and morality aren't just separate, they're often directly opposed. Strength is about action and survival. Morality is about restraint, about compassion. In a world ruled by the blind will to live, action is rewarded. Morality becomes liability. A strong person acts, they pursue goals without guilt or need for approval. They don't hesitate or second guess. Life isn't a fair contest, it's a savage fight for dominance. The moment you hesitate to consider ethics, you hand power to someone who doesn't care. Most of us are raised on the comforting lie of fairness. Schools, religions, and institutions insist that virtue brings success, and vice brings ruin. Schopenhauer dismissed this as comforting fiction, a story for social order, not a reflection of reality. In nature, fairness is a myth. The lion that hunts the weakest gazelle isn't unjust, it survives. The gazelle that hesitates dies, no matter how good it was. Human society plays by the same ruthless logic. Power doesn't flow to the virtuous, it bends toward those willing to seize it. The idea that the good triumph is just a story, told to pacify people and make them easier to control. Belief in fairness is a psychological crutch, easier than facing chaos, randomness, and the cold reality that cheaters win more often than we'd like. The ruthless succeed because they've given up on fairy tales. They know power isn't given, it's taken. And while the moral wait for justice, the ruthless are already shaping the world to their advantage. Ruthlessness isn't about cruelty for cruelty's sake. It works because it eliminates self-doubt and hesitation. The ruthless act with shocking speed and clarity. If betraying someone brings advantage, they betray. If manipulation means more control, they manipulate. Lack of inner conflict makes them powerful. While others are paralyzed by conscience, they move. Schopenhauer saw this all as the will to live in action, indifferent to morality, obsessing only over survival and dominance. In competition, hesitation is fatal. The one who dominates the room, who acts first and shapes the narrative, holds all the cards. The ruthless win because they act. They don't wait for approval, and they force others to follow. But ruthlessness is also about emotional detachment. The ruthless know that real power means never getting too involved, never letting feelings cloud judgment. While others are distracted, they stay calm. While others trust, they engineer advantage. They don't just strike first, they strike where it hurts most. That's why ruthlessness dominates business, politics, and social life. To the ruthless, hesitancy is a vulnerability to exploit. Morality is a weakness. Meanwhile, good people are disadvantaged not because they aren't capable, but because their morality creates hesitation. They overthink consequences, worry about right and wrong. In a world where only dominance counts, this is a massive weakness. The moral believe everyone follows the same rules. They're predictable, hesitant, easy to manipulate. The ruthless know the moral will avoid direct confrontation, will struggle with aggressive decisions, and will be trapped by their own conscience. Interactions become struggles for dominance, not because people are evil, but because the will to survive leads to competition. The moral resist, choosing cooperation over competition, trust over suspicion. But while they ponder, the ruthless take control. That's why good people end up used, betrayed, or simply ignored. Schopenhauer warned, the world rewards strategy, not fairness. Those who hesitate are left behind. And yet the path of ruthlessness is rarely peaceful. Success built on manipulation comes at a hidden cost, constant anxiety, isolation, and a sense of meaninglessness. Power obtained through deception must be maintained through ever more deception. The ruthless know, the higher you climb, the lonelier and more threatened you feel. The paradox, ruthlessness brings external success and inner emptiness. You may reach the top, but when you get there, you're utterly alone. Schopenhauer's warning is clear. Domination may bring power, but it seldom brings peace. True strength, he said, isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. The ruthless live in constant fear of losing control. Their strength relies on others' weakness. The real power comes when you stop playing the dominance game altogether. When you no longer chase external validation, you become immune to loss. When you stop seeking control over others, you stop fearing failure. For Schopenhauer, detachment is not weakness. It is the ultimate power. The person who isn't moved by praise or criticism, who can accept loss without feeling diminished, cannot be controlled. The one who no longer needs to dominate can never be threatened. This isn't surrender, it's transcendence. Wisdom, in Schopenhauer's eyes, is not the ability to win the game, but to rise above the need to play it at all. The truly powerful aren't those who hold others down. They are those who don't need to prove themselves. Once you step out of the competition for dominance, you finally see the game for what it is, a trap, designed to entangle those obsessed with victory. True strength isn't about winning, it's about no longer needing to compete.